Welcome to Start to Finish Podcasting. What's going on, everybody? And today I'm going to give you some interview tips on how to interview your guests. You know, sometimes we watch podcasts and we watch people interview, and sometimes, you know, they start getting off into a tangent, talking about other things. Sometimes the interview is not great because they're not really asking the right questions that they should be asking. Sometimes they're asking questions that the person has already answered before. Sometimes it's questions that everybody already knows. So these interview tips are going to help you have a better interview, and it's going to help you get the information that you need from that particular person that you're interviewing. So I got a list that I have right here that I wrote, typed up in front of me. I didn't want to forget anything. Usually I don't type lists all the time, but you know, I've been known to type lists. So I have the list right here, and I will be referring to that list. So looking down and looking at this list just so I don't forget. So it's 5 tips. The first tip is to get organized before you contact your guest. Okay. So with that being said, you want to give them clarity. Just prepare to give them clarity on what they're interviewing for. Provide them with an accurate time, an accurate date. Make sure that when you do provide the right time and date, that you know what time zone they're in, because that's a lot of thing. That's one thing that people overlook and don't think about is time zones. And not everybody lives in your time zone. So if you tell them 3:00 and they're on Central Time and you're on Eastern Standard Time, they're going to be, I believe, an hour earlier than what you want the interview to be. So you got to make sure that you're on the same time zone. If you're not, just make sure you clarify, you know, what time zone you're in, what time you want to start, and all of that stuff. Another quick tip for getting organized is make sure if they can, make sure they have a hardwired connection to the internet. That's a big thing, because sometimes when you have a Wi-Fi connection, it will work. But you know, just to be on the safe side and you have a solid connection where there's no drops and things like that, you want to make sure it's a hard wire. That helps tremendously. So you want to make sure that they're on a hard wire, make sure you're on a hard wire. I'm not on a hard wire. My connection, I feel confident enough that it will stay fully connected and it won't be no drops. But some people don't have that type of connection. Some people are in areas where the connection may not be good. So you want to make sure you have a hard wire that you're connecting straight to the modem to make sure that there's no drops. And you also want your guests to make sure they're on a hard wire so there's no drops, because you don't know what type of area they're in. All right. So that's how you get organized. Tip number 2. It says here, I got a list here, like I said, have the end result be what you want to get out of the interview. So what I mean by that is, ask yourself, why are you interviewing this person? What information can this person provide to help you or others or anybody who's watching? What, in my particular case, if I have an interview about podcasting, I'm going to ask myself, what do I want to get out of this? What do I want everybody who's viewing this video or this interview to get out of it? Is it, am I interviewing this guy for better audio? So if that's the case, I'm going to kind of think about questions I can ask about audio, common questions that people send me, questions that are not asked all the time, questions that are unique. Those are the type of questions. Those are the type of things I want to get out of this interview. I want to get out of this interview something nobody else has gotten out of this person before. So we can ask the basic questions. How do you get good audio? And they may answer it, well, it depends on this and that. Those are the normal questions that you ask. I'm trying to get, and I want to get questions that nobody asks. And that's how you get a good interview. You ask those questions that no one asks, and you get information that no one has ever gotten. All right. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, think about the questions ahead of time. This is a tricky area here. Now, when I say think about the questions ahead of time, what I mean is that it's partially of tip number 2, getting the information that no one has gotten, asking the questions that no one has asked before. But at the same time, you know, you want to prepare for some of your questions, right? but you don't want to be a stickler to all of those questions. Like you don't want to have them all written out. Well, what do you do? Da, 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 da. Well, what do you do? What did that? Like you don't want them written out because what happens is it gets dry. You know, sometimes you're going to have to play it by ear, if you will. You know, you have your set of questions, you know, here and there, and they may answer some of those questions without you even asking them. But what you want to do is have a few questions that you want to get out of this person, questions that are unique, questions that people have been asking, questions that person hasn't been asked before. So prepare your questions, but sometimes interviews can go real bad if you are not prepared or if you are too prepared. So if you're not prepared, you'll ask a question and they'll answer it. And then you're just like, you find yourself thinking, oh, what do I ask next? That's why you got to have some type of questions there that, I call it just in case questions, just to have just in case if they answer one question sooner than what you thought. And then there's the times where you just don't want to go with your list because you ask them a question. You may have, well, I did this. This is how I get good audio. I boost up my EQ and I boost up my mids and lows and all of that stuff. And then that may present a follow-up question. So it's not written, but it's a follow-up question. Be like, okay, so how do you do that? So this is why the list could be the gift or the curse. So you have a little bit of questions for that you already want to ask, but then, you might have to go freestyle with it and just go off on your own, but stick to the subject with good follow-up questions. That's the key. Good follow-up questions. All right. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, know who you are interviewing, know certain things about them, because if you don't, you are done. You hear me? At least have the respect. If you're going to ask to interview someone, at least know who they are. Do some research on them. Find out, what they do or whatever it may be, because if you don't, then you're going to make yourself look real bad, especially if you don't know anything about that person, because if you know something about that person, it makes the interview a lot easier. So I once interviewed someone who I did a little research on, and I found out, I don't remember what that person did. But he did something. It was real crazy. And it wasn't public knowledge. It's something I had to dig deep for. So, when I was asking him a question, I pretty much was like, I read one time where you did this and that. Can you tell us about it? And he was just like so happy to tell that story. So I got that from digging deep. That wasn't just a normal question that you ask. I did research on this person. I looked at some of the things that they do. I knew in and out what they did. And that story, knowing that story, helped him feel a little bit more comfortable. And it helped me a little bit because, it's like I gave the ball back. I put the ball back in his court. So I asked him a question. Tell us a little bit about this. And he just was kind of shocked that I knew. And he's like, whoa, okay, well, and then he went on to his story. And it was a very good story that led to other questions. So he felt comfortable. I felt comfortable. And it just made the interview that much better. When you start asking them things about things that they experience or things that they have a story behind, you're good to go. Interviews and good storytelling, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. So when in your interview, you want to have a good storytelling interview or storytelling answer from a question that you asked, and it just makes the interview that much better. It gives you a little bit of him giving the knowledge, him or she giving the knowledge to what you want to get, mixed with a little bit of entertainment of just knowing who the person is. All right, my last tip: keep yourself calm and relaxed. Don't get too nervous. That's one of the things that'll really get you, especially if you're first starting out and you're interviewing people, or if you're interviewing somebody who who has a lot of fame, a celebrity or anything like that, you can get real nervous. Sometimes and once in a blue moon, I get a little nervous when I'm interviewing certain people. But I'm over it. I really am over it. But I'm telling you, like, you have to relax and you have to just keep calm and treat the interview like, you're just having a conversation. Because what happens is, I think a lot of people get caught up with this is going live or this is videotape. Even when it's just recording, people get nervous and, you just got to relax, take a deep breath. And one thing that happens as time goes on when you're doing these interviews is that you get more relaxed, and then you're like, okay, I can do this. And you're just at this point where you're just really like relaxing, and you're just like, okay. And then you're sitting back like this, just relaxed and doing your interview, and everything is good. And after a while, you just start, you forget that it's all about, on camera, and you just start having these interviews, and you relax, and everything goes well. You look calm, you look professional, you don't look nervous, you're not stuttering like, like that. And, it's just pretty good once you get calm, you make them feel calm, you make yourself feel calm, and then that just gives you a better interview. So, remember those tips, and, just make sure, when you're interviewing somebody, you follow these tips, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. That's it for me. I just wanted to come on here and, give these tips. I haven't been on here that much, so I'm trying to make an effort to give you more videos and help you out. So I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, leave your question in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell so you can get all the videos when I upload them. I look forward to doing more videos with you guys. Love you much. I'm out. Peace.